Thank you everyone for joining me today. I'm Hannah. I'm a licensing manager in the teaching, learning and assessment stream of licensing at JISC. It's my job to negotiate sector-wide deals for our members and also look at procurement strategies to purchase assessment and feedback tools. So as part of my work, I have been working with TeacherMatic and we now have a JISC agreement, which is fantastic news for us. Yes, so today we are, just to let you know that this session will be recorded. Any questions in the chat, Peter will ask them intermittently as we go along, as will our guest speakers. And yeah, so we're going to do an overview of the TeacherMatic platform and the tools. We've got some presentations, some great presentations from some of our FE and HE members, which are Laura Milne at Chester University and Amanda Siddle from Burnley College. So thank you to you both for coming along. And then right at the end, we'll do an overview from me on the new licensing agreement. Hello from Portsmouth. And so with that note, I will hand over to Peter from TeacherMatic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hannah. Okay, well, welcome everybody, and really appreciate you all coming along to this webinar. I'm going to kick off by just giving you a bit of an overview of TeacherMatic. I'm going to hand over to Amanda, who does have to go at past, so she's going to talk about TeacherMatic at Bury, and then I'm going to come back in and give you a bit of a live demonstration showing TeacherMatic in action. Laura's then going to talk about TeacherMatic at Chester University, and Hannah will finish off. So, TeacherMatic. I'm Peter Kilcoyne. I'm the Managing Director behind TeacherMatic, and there's my email details if any of you wish to contact me later at all. And I'm going to kick off by just telling you a little bit about TeacherMatic, what it is, and its user base. So, many of you, I mean, I recognise quite a few names here, so I'm telling some of you what you already know, but I also see some people I don't know at all, so I'm going to assume some of you don't know much about TeacherMatic. So TeacherMatic is an AI platform that's been built for and also by, because we've got this co-design model I'm going to be talking about later on, the UK HE and FE sector. So from the start, we've built it in partnership with people, with practitioners. And what it is it's a toolkit over 150 different generators designed in partnership with people from the sectors to carry out a whole range of different tasks. Initially, we focused on planning, teaching and assessment tasks for teaching and academic staff. But over time, we've had requests to build tools for non-teaching staff, for senior leaders, for managers, for HR, for marketing. We've got over 50 different tools for non-teaching staff. Since we launched TeacherMatic about 2.5 years ago, we've been taken on board. We're delighted by over 200 FE colleges, universities and other post-16 providers, sixth form colleges, etc., in the JISC community. So we're very widely used across JISC community. We've got a couple of our customers talking today, and I know quite a lot of other people are here today. And we did win, very proud, that we won the most innovative learning technology product of the year at the Learning Technologies show last year. And that's a screenshot of TeacherMatic there. So just want to talk a little bit about our co-design model. And so one thing I want to emphasize firstly, that the 4 people, myself and 3 friends of mine that I did this with, we're all people who have worked in UK and FE and HE for many, many years. I started my career at a Brixton College in London and Goldsmiths University of London back in the mid-80s. I've worked at JISC ever since. Well, not JISC ever since. I've worked at JISC for a number of years and at a number of different FE colleges since then. And all my colleagues are all from the sector. So we came at this with the idea that we saw how powerful these large language models, things like ChatGPT, were, but could see that in order to get good content out of them, you had to be very good at prompt engineering, and that was quite challenging. My role, over the last 20 years ago has been about getting teaching staff using technology, and it was very clear to me that this might be a step too far for many teachers. And so we wanted to build a platform that would make it very straightforward for staff to engage with these powers. So we've used this co-design model, which means from day one, we've worked with people from FE and from HE in designing the platform and building the tools that are within the platform. And we've continued that co-design model ever since. So everything that we build has been built in partnership with current practitioners. Another important aspect of everything we do is we have support and community at the core of how we work. So if you become a TeacherMatic customer, you can get access. All of this is free. We don't charge for it. We have termly community webinars for sharing best practice and updating people. We do monthly deep dive webinars. There's actually one of those happening today, where we will choose a particular tool and do a very deep focus on how people are using that tool. New customers will get a getting started implementation pack. We've just released a new online course for users, and so any existing customers who are here today, if you're not aware of that, you can access that. Just email me the details. So it's a 3-hour online course that people can do in their own time to learn all about TeacherMatic. That when you become a customer of TeacherMatic, we provide free online training for all of our new customers. We have a very responsive support team. And we also offer a service where we can build bespoke generators. So if there's any tool that you want specifically for your organisation, and we've done that for quite a few of our universities and colleges over the last couple of years. So why should you consider TeacherMatic? Well, I could sit here for about 5 hours and tell you why you should have TeacherMatic in your organisation, but there are 3 key points that I think are very important for you to understand. One is TeacherMatic provides a very secure platform. Your DPI managers, your IT network managers, etc., I'm sure will like how we work and what we do. So we are Azure hosted on UK servers, so all that GDPR stuff is covered. We have content filtering. So as you're probably aware, that a lot of these large language models inherently have biases in them. They just reflect the biases of humanity. And we've built in ethical content filtering to try to remove those biases as much as possible in your outputs. That anything that you do on TeacherMatic goes nowhere. And again, this is very important if you're uploading student work, student information, you're uploading your own college or university IP, nothing goes anywhere. It doesn't feed any large language model. It sits on the servers and gets deleted after a year. So you're completely safe in terms of GDPR, intellectual property, etc. The key reason and main reason we built TeacherMatic was ease of use. That, as I said at the start, to really make the best out of tools like Copilot, ChatGPT, Gemini, etc., you've got to be very good at prompt engineering. And we've avoided the need for that. We've developed this very simple approach where anyone with the most basic IT skills can engage with our platform. And we've got a lot of research has been done on it. It requires minimum training, and the research suggests an average of 4 hours per week time saved. And it is a fraction of the cost of other tools. So typically TeacherMatic, if you have more than 50 licenses for your colleagues, it's £30 per staff member per year. So it's very, very cheap. If you're using, say, a paid for Copilot or ChatGPT license, you're looking at around £20 a month. So it's around about 1/8 of the price of that. Just a little bit of feedback and evaluation before I hand over to Amanda. So we've done a number of studies on the time saving, as have organisations like JISC and the Code Institute. And the findings that we get, it tends to be about between 2 to 8 hours per week is what these findings are in terms of the time saving, and typically around about 4 hours per week. So when you think it costs £30 per year, you pay your staff more than £30 an hour, it is potentially paying for itself 4 times every week. There's some feedback from some of our users. So this software has been a game changer for many staff, saving those using it upwards of 6 to 8 hours a week in preparation and research time. From the Director of Digital Professional Development, that's from South Gloucestershire and Stroud College. My favourite quote, that kind of says it all to me from a lecture, is I've got my Sunday afternoons back. And I remember as a teacher, having piles of marking to do on a Sunday afternoon. I completely get that. And finally, another very nice bit of feedback we've had is I've never been so blown away by something after 30 years working in education. So there's a few bits of feedback. I'm going to stop sharing now and hand over to Amanda, who is one of our FE users, who's going to talk about how TeacherMatic is used at Burnley College.
Thank you very much, Peter. I'll just share my screen now. I won't be a second. Okay, so I just wanted to really relay why we chose TeacherMatic. So for us, it's just to address some real staff needs. So obviously, staff spend a lot of time with their planning. And this was one of the reasons, and it supported our staff to reduce their planning time and support that workload. So we have a workload commitment strategy at Burnley College. So it supported that. It does align with our digital strategy with that AI kind of functionality, and it allowed us to choose a platform. What we love about TeacherMatic is that it's teacher centered and educational kind of driven. So it's designed by people who really understand education, learners and learning. So it's those everyday teaching tasks and non-teaching tasks that an educational institute will deal with that the generators support. I think Peter already mentioned that there's many non-academic generators there as well. The other key thing for us is that it's evidence-based as well. So it is grounded in pedagogical best practice as well. So that supports what we need. Okay, so for the benefits for the staff and the college, so it's time saving. So again, Peter's just touched on that. So it's saving our staff hours upon hours of planning each week. So if they're creating a resource, if they're creating a quiz, for example, it's saving them massive amount of time. It does produce really high quality resources. So, the outputs are very high quality as well. It does allow some customizable outputs as well. So, for example, we use solo learning outcomes for our lesson plans, and that's been embedded into the TeacherMatic system for us. So, our lesson plans are generated with those at the heart, and obviously, it does allow that personalisation of materials. So, yeah, the confidence with AI in a safe sense was a big factor for us as well. So that's a benefit. So when staff are using TeacherMatic, they obviously know they are, safe in what they're inputting. We find it really great for our IT trainees and our ECTs as well, because it allows that kind of scaffolded AI, support and guidance. So the impact so far for us is take-up's been really high. Obviously, we don't mandate it. I say obviously we don't mandate it, but our take-up is really high proportion of our teaching staff, for example, using TeacherMatic on a daily basis. We've had really positive feedback from both experienced and early careers teachers, so it's not like it's just one cohort using it. It does increase staff sharing as well, because it sparks kind of discussion around what it's generating. So we've seen a real increased, sharing of that kind of best practice for the college. As reported, work-life balance for staff, which is one of kind of the greatest benefits, reducing that out of work, hours staff will work. And it is used in every area as well. So we've seen it's not that it's just applicable to academic or vocational, and also our support teaching roles as well. So we've seen an uptake across all our provision across the college, including HE as well. So just a few case studies really from me, and I won't read these all out, but I like the art one. So, for example, one of our art tutors kind of said, they didn't think TeacherMatic would work for them. And then after a demo, they now use the inspiration and ask an expert generator for their starters and planning. So we've got some really lovely, inspirational case studies. In apprenticeships, it's been used as well. The data sets generator as an example for functional skills in maths for apprenticeships. Counselling, our counselling department have been really embracing it for feedback as well. Yeah, so we've got some great success stories there of staff who've been using TeacherMatic, and then I'll just maybe take any questions.
James is asking how do your staff use the platform to support differentiation? Anything you say about that?
Well, I kind of feel it's automatically embedded in a lot of the generators differentiation. It's probably not a quick answer for that one. Because again, it depends on the inputs to what your output is going to be. So it depends what you're asking for there. You can obviously adjust the ability within. So you could, for example, generate different abilities within. Let's say a quiz. So you could factor in differentiation in that way, because in terms of adaptive teaching. So
I'll show some of that stuff. And one more
yeah.
question, which is, do your professional service staff use it?
Sorry, who would be professional service?
As in non-teaching.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So marketing are quite heavy users of TeacherMatic. We use it for projects as well, for those writing project bids. Are quite keen on the project generator. So yeah, there's a lot of non-academic users of TeacherMatic. Also, it's how we're sharing that with those staff as well. So, for example, we'll do lots with academic staff, but we have started to do some CPD with our business support staff as well, so they can see how some of the generators work. We also like to update on what's new as well, because obviously there's lots of generators constantly being added. So if you've not used it in a period of time, you might not know there's some new generators. So we do that across the college with all staff.
Okay, thanks so much. So I'll let you go now, Amanda, because I know you've got another meeting you're rushing off to. So thanks so much, and we'll share
Bye.
Amanda's slides. And sorry about the technical issues; it can be a bit tricky sometimes.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
I'm going to do. Cheers, Amanda. I'm going to do now a bit of a live demo for you. This is what TeacherMatic looks like when you log on, and I will try to answer a few of those questions, and you'll see how we can do some of that with those things like differentiation with TeacherMatic. So you log on, and you can log on using your college, or university, Microsoft or Google accounts. It's single sign-on, and when you sign on, this is what you see. We've got over 150 generators, things like schemes of work, lesson plan, glossary. You'll see these top ones are all hearted. Now, the reason that is that the heart means favorited. And if you click on, so if I click on the heart here on flashcards, that will now go to the top of my screen. So each person can have a personalized screen, and you can also sort the generators by different roles here. So you can see teacher, leadership, quality, careers, HR, assessor, admin, marketing, etc. So some features, you can also save things in TeacherMatic. So I click there, I can go to things that I've saved previously. So nothing gets lost. And so that's sort of what the platform looks like. And the way that you use TeacherMatic, so if I want to do a scheme of work, I just click on that generator, a form pops up, and I just have to fill in some fields on that form. So to save time, what I've done is I've already completed some of these. So you can see some of the generators with some outputs. And the first one I'm going to show you is the lesson plan generator. And the way that the generators work, you've got a number of fields to complete. And the fields that have got a star on are ones that you have to complete. The ones that aren't starred are optional, but the more information that you give TeacherMatic, the better it will do. So imagine I'm teaching a session on photosynthesis. I put that in as my lesson topic, area of study, biology. Now, the next option we've got is your layout. So I've chosen standard TeacherMatic layout, but what you can do is if you've got your own college or university lesson plan templates, if you upload a good completed one, it doesn't have to be from your subject. So TeacherMatic can see what a good lesson plan looks like in your organisation. It will then replicate that for this particular lesson plan. How long is the lesson? 90 minutes. Any additional information? I've got a spelling mistake there. So you can leave that blank, but I've put in there that the students are studying at an agricultural land-based college, and I want this session to be vocationally relevant to them. The sector, if I click on that sector, you see we've got primary, secondary, sixth form FE, vocational, and then all the different levels. And I think this one was actually HE first year I'd selected. So you tell it the sector, and then that helps guide it to the right level. If you put a learner group profile in, that can help it. And then something that we're really proud of, I think is really important, is we've got send in there. So even if you're delivering that same lesson to two different groups, you will have learners with different needs in those two groups. And so for this group, I've got a learner with dyslexia and I've got another learner with a visual impairment. That you see here, we've got all of the more common send categories here. And if we haven't got something there, you click on that and you can describe the learner and it will give you guidance on that. So I've told you I want that lesson plan to include support for dyslexia and visual impairment. And we've also, and again, all of this is through our co-design. We were recently, well, about 3 months ago, we was asked, can you put in an additional field to do that differentiation approach where we want strategies for higher attainers and strategies for lower attainers. So we've added that into the template and that now can feed a lesson plan. The next thing we look at, again, all of this is optional because it's not starred, but you can look at what is the learning environment? Are you teaching in a classroom, a workshop, a laboratory, outdoors, online? And this is for a classroom session. Any specific requests? So I've given it a bit of a funny request here. Focus on plant growth in polytunnels. So I've asked it to do a little bit of a focus around that for me. You can put in links to a YouTube video and it will do that. And finally, and again, this is optional, you can ask it to implement a particular pedagogical model. So if you want it to be based around Bloom's taxonomy, Solo, Rosensheim, social constructivism, you can choose that. And for this one, I chose Rosensheim's instructional principles. I clicked on generate, and you see this is the output. So here's my lesson plan, covering photosynthesis. I've got my learning objectives, my differentiation, so it's giving me guidance on supporting learners with dyslexia and visual impairment, and then a detailed lesson plan broken down by chunks of time. And you see there, it's got some practical application in polytunnels, which I'd asked it to do. And then some differentiation around stretching and challenge and simplifying for higher attainers and lower attainers, and how to implement Rosensheim's instructional principles in that lesson. And with all things in TeacherMatic, we've got a range of exports. So typically you would export that as a Word document. And we recommend, this gives you a strong first draft. And then you edit that, make it your own, and you've got a lesson plan. The next generator I'm going to show you is multiple choice questions. And this is one of our most popular ones. So say I want some multiple choice questions on photosynthesis. At a simple level, all I've got to do is say I want 10, that's my topic, 10 questions, click on go, and in about 20 seconds, it's written me 10 questions and given me the right answers on photosynthesis. And a very important feature, and again, coming from our co-design model, we've got a whole range of different export options. And these are all things that different colleges and universities have asked us for. So you can export as PDF, Word, to a Google Drive, into Moodle formats, into Kahoot, Wayground, Looklet, Gymkit, Blackboard, Canvas, Google Form, Brightspace, and VBox. Okay. Next, there's another multiple choice one where I've done something a little bit more sophisticated, where I've put in, I found a YouTube video on photosynthesis, copied the URL, and I've put that in here, and it's then built those questions around that YouTube video. So I've got now questions built around that YouTube video on photosynthesis. And the sorts of things that you can do there, because I can export as a Word document, I I can then import that Word document into Microsoft Forms. And then here, this is what you can then create Microsoft Forms. So there are those questions which I've exported as a Word document, imported into Microsoft Forms, and I've then added an extra question at the top with that YouTube video. So a really nice learning activity for your students. I built in less than a minute, where the students watch that YouTube video. They are asked to watch this video and summarize the process of photosynthesis, and then a load of questions to answer at the end. And in terms of, this is what that looks like for the students. Okay, so that's a multiple choice generator. The next generator, and again, a particular favorite of mine, is the image-based content generator. And on this one, you can upload any picture, and it will then generate a range of different activities around that picture. So this is actually a picture of a mixing desk. I was doing a training session in one of our customers to a large group of teachers about a month ago, and there was a mixing desk in the corner of the room, so I just took a photograph of that. I've uploaded that into our image-based content generator, and I've said, right, I want a worksheet. So these are all the different outputs we can have on that. I selected worksheet, and you see this is the output. It knows exactly what that image is. It's a professional audio mixing desk. It knows what the different knobs and twiddles do. It knows about the different output ports, XLR and TRS cables, etc. And then here's a worksheet on that mixing desk. And you can do that for any image at all, and you can create a whole range of different activities around that. The next generator, and again a favourite of mine, is one which develops group learning activities for you. And I'm moving on to a different curriculum area. Imagine you're teaching business studies, and you want to do a session on developing a marketing strategy for a new small business, and you want to have some group activities for your students to do on that. So all I've done is I've put that as the topic. I've said business studies. I've asked it for 3 suggestions. And in this case, I've selected higher education from my drop-down list. And it's given me 3 activities: a market research simulation, and then some instructions on how to do that; a marketing mix workshop, so about how to apply the 4 Ps of marketing; and a marketing strategy picks competition, where the students got into groups and compete against each other on doing a marketing pitch. And so, you know, as someone who used to teach for many, many years, it's easy for your teaching to get a little bit stale over time. You can end up being a bit on automatic pilot. So this is great for those teachers who have been delivering those same sessions to freshen up some new learning activities and to give them some new ideas. The next generator, and this is the one that is really making a massive impact now, is the feedback generator. And this is the one that will do that marking. And I think back to the years I spent as a psychology lecturer with piles of marking on my dining room table on a Sunday afternoon, wanting to, you know, go out and do stuff with my family and kids. And I had all that marking to do. And this uses AI to do the marking. We are currently just starting an evaluation project with JISC on this with 4 universities and 4 colleges. And what this does, well, I'll show you how it works. You can upload student work and get it graded and provide detailed feedback. We do advise that you do this in conjunction with human input as well. So it's not entirely automated, but it can do quite a lot of the heavy lifting for you. And I know, particularly in universities, we've got a situation where you're getting larger and larger group sizes, and this can really help teachers maybe got 100, 200 assignments to mark each time from large group sizes to help do that. So I'm going to demonstrate a couple of examples here. So the first one I'm going to do is a first-year undergraduate psychology essay. And how can I use this to grade that? So firstly, the first question asked is, how am I going to provide the assignment details? And I can either enter the assignment title and details the assignment, which is what I've done, or I can upload an assignment brief. I'm going to show you that in the next one. And so the assignment title is there. What ethical considerations should a researcher take into account when designing psychological research, etc.? I've given a little bit more guidance to the AI about what this essay is about. And then the next question, so I've told it the title, how am I going to provide the student work? And I've got three options there. I can upload a submitted file. So if you get it in Word or in PDF form, you upload that document. You can copy and paste it in there. Or if you've got handwritten work, you can take a photograph of it and upload a photo or a scan, and it will grade that and it can read the handwriting. So in this case, I've uploaded a piece of student work, so that's the student essay. And the next question I've got is, what sort of feedback do I want to provide? Basic summary feedback, detailed formative, formal summative, or if you're doing a one-to-one sit-down, a sort of tutorial with a student, this will give you advice for a conversation with a student about that work. So in this case, I've asked it for detailed formative feedback. It then says, how do you want to grade the work? And we've got a number of options here. You can upload a marking rubric, you can use a TeacherMatic rubric, you can select a grading scale, or if you've got unit specification that's got grading information in, you can upload that. So in this case, I've said I want to select a grading scale. And then the next menu, we've got all sorts of different grading scales. And the reason we've got so many is because we work with different organisations. Most universities will operate on a percentage scale. So I put in a percentage scale. What region? Reason for that is we do work internationally. And as you may be aware, Scottish universities and colleges have different levels to English, Wales and Northern Ireland one. So I'm assuming England, Wales and Northern Ireland. And so this is therefore a level 4. If I was in a Scottish organisation, that would give me different ones. And so I've selected that, so level 4 in this case, and clicked on generate, and this is the output I get. So it gives me an initial overview of the essay. It then writes this very detailed feedback. So basically about a page of feedback on the different aspects of the essay and grading each of those aspects. A final summary, and then the next suggested grade, and that can then be exported as a Word document, PDF, etc. Now, if you're marking a batch of student work, all you have to do once you set those parameters up is you just clear that one, upload the next one. Click on generate, clear, upload. Now, we are shortly implementing a batch uploader. So in about a month's time, fingers crossed, you'll be able to upload a whole batch of students' work and get it marked. And we are also implementing soon an option so that you can provide a link for your students so they can get pre-submission feedback. So they can get feedback on their work before they submit it. The next one I'm going to show you a similar use of the feedback tool. This is for a BTEC assignment where I've uploaded an assignment brief, I've uploaded the assignment file, and I've uploaded a marking rubric. And then it has graded that work according to that assignment brief and marking rubric and given it an overall grade of a merit. I will finish there and hand over now to Laura, and we'll take questions at the end. Who's going to talk about TeacherMatic at JISC.
Thank you so much, Peter. I'm just going to share my slides. Hopefully you are about to see the slide in presenter mode. Is that coming through in presenter mode for you?
It is, yeah. And
Fantastic.
I'm going to have a quick look at the chat and answer questions while you're going. So off you go, Laura.
Yeah, just a note before I even get into it, I'm so excited for the batch upload feature and the feedback tool. I think that's going to be revolutionary. I think it's going to be a really, really exciting one, and that one to have that feedback literacy just built in for students being able to get that sort of level of feedback before they even submit is amazing. So thank you very much for having me here today. My name is Laura Milne. As you'll see on the slide, I'm usually part of a double act. It's me and Associate Professor Catherine Welsh, who isn't joining us today. She's ill, but I'm here and I'm loving the fact that I get to be part of these sorts of events. I'm the head of digital education at the University of Chester. We were part of the original JISC pilot almost 2 years ago now, which feels like a very long, is it 2 years ago? Feels like a very long time ago. And I'm going to tell you about our story thus far. So We're going to tell you a little bit about how staff are using TeacherMatic, some of the benefits that we've found through TeacherMatic and our own reflections of TeacherMatic. Shouldn't have gotten back. As Peter has demonstrated already, there are so many generators and all of them are worth investigating. Something that we've done at the University of Chester is we had, during our initial pilot, we had a weekly challenge. So we got staff to use different features, different generators to try them out, rather than just defaulting to the same 3 or 4 that they'd used before. That was really good because it meant that we explored a lot of features, and we're actually bringing that back. We're doing 10 days of TeacherMatic in the run up to the end of the year. So almost like an advent calendar, but with TeacherMatic generators. So that'll be really exciting. We love the structured prompting. We say that TeacherMatic's a lot like training wheels, and it's safe, it's secure. We really value that ring-fenced data. We have had a few moments where a colleague has excitedly told us about this cool tool that they've discovered that does a whole lot of things. And then because I'm on a lot of data and compliance committees, I start to get a little bit stressed about what sort of data they've been uploading into the tool. So for TeacherMatic, we've evaluated the data protection and it's been signed off by our technical design authority as a very secure tool. So we're comfortable and confident for our lecturers to use this quite widely, which is really exciting. We have encouraged users, we always encourage users, as my very first slide said, we would never want anyone to generate something and then use it without evaluating it. So we really strongly believe in the human in the loop. So to create the slide deck that I'm presenting from at the moment, we prompted TeacherMatic, we got an output, and then Catherine and I worked collaboratively on it to enhance and improve. So we really want to emphasize this is such a good starting point for colleagues. So in our initial pilot, we had 50 academics across the university. We've got approximately 1,200 teaching staff, 15,000 students. And then after the pilot came to its end with JISC, we continued on with our TeacherMatic journey. So it's become part of our business as usual. It's one of now, I've just realized I should have updated that. Now we've got 5 approved tools. One was approved only last week, but TeacherMatic was still the very first tool that we ever approved. So it was really a bit of a way for us to test the waters. It's been heavily promoted as part of our AI training sessions. Whenever we pop into local departments to do a demo of the tools that we have available, we get colleagues in to use TeacherMatic to explore what it's capable of and how they can use it in their teaching. We are also expanding our use across the institution, including for some teaching and professional services colleagues. So that's administrative staff. I myself do a whole lot of project work, and there's in beta testing mode project communications tool that I'm finding particularly exciting. So it's very nice to see that use of the tool expand beyond the initial teaching prep exposure. As you can see on the screen over here, we've got these cards, which are part of our AI training sessions that are usually run by Catherine Welsh and myself. So we go in, we get people to log in live, we get them to bring a laptop or bring a device, log into TeacherMatic, and then use one of these cards to explore Generator in more depth. We really like the particular generators that I'm very fond of. I often demo with the multiple choice question generator because I think it's got quite a lot of potential for knowledge checks, and I'm liking the differentiation it has between different levels. Some of our colleagues' comments on TeacherMatic, how they've used it. They've used it to create an FAQ document for research methods. They've used it to formulate competencies based on job descriptions. At the University of Chester, we've gone through a radical curriculum redesign over the last year or so, and TeacherMatic came in very handy when people were drafting course descriptions for the first time, or were reimagining what had been learning outcomes as level appropriate competencies. So we're shifting our language there. For example, one colleague used the subject benchmark statement to identify what core competencies were, and it came up with 6 competencies, and then TeacherMatic was used to iterate what those might look like at level 4, 5, 6, and 7. So that was a really exciting use of it. We have also had the strategic use of it of I needed 150 questions on a range of topics. TeacherMatic made that much quicker and easier for that lecturer, so it's really nice to see that. The clear benefits for us are the ring-fence data, so we've got a safe space to experiment. Generators reduce staff anxiety, particularly around what AI might be capable of, and we find that once they're familiar with AI, they're less worried that AI is going to take their jobs, because at the end of the day, it's their expertise as lecturers that we really value. But it's so much better to start from not a blank page. It sparks inspiration. We've had a few lecturers comment, particularly on the UDL principle side of things, that they've never thought about X, Y, or Z included in their teaching. So it's really nice to spark that accessibility and inclusion discussion as well. Chat with TeacherMatic has less training wheels, so that's a space for people who are more advanced to experiment. And goes without saying, but the TeacherMatic team have been really excellent. So, for example, we worked with them on rubrics and making rubrics work for Turnitin, and that's just been fantastic. And I've really enjoyed the conversations we've had around the product development side of it. EuroC stats, our top generators are still the MCQ generator and the PowerPoint generator and the rubric generator. Those three are all used in those training sessions we run, so it's unsurprising those have predominance in our stats. I think that I personally really like the lesson planner and the scheme of work generator, or the learning journey generator. Those are fantastic for colleagues having to teach a whole new module. Maybe you've taken over a module for the first time. I really like those. We've had various use peaks over the last since January 2024. And I can track those peaks around particular phases of what I know was happening in the university calendar. So firstly, in January 2024, it was a new tool. We had a lot of people exploring with it. Between March and August in 2024, we were running design sprints, so it was very much supporting that design sprint activity. In June and July, we had our teaching and learning conference, and we've started to promote it as a tool that everyone should be using and we should be accepting in our day-to-day. And then August and September, I've seen a huge uptick as people started to prep for the new academic year. So it really is becoming an embedded tool in our practice. Catherine's favorite generators are Chat with TeacherMatic, the YouTube content generator, and the image-based generator. As I say, I'm a learning designer at heart. I really like the scheme of work and the rubric generator and the lesson planner. Our next steps are we're piloting the feedback generator with the psychology department as part of a research project. So we've got ethical approval. We actually have a principle at the University of Chester that we shouldn't be putting any student work into any generator, even the approved ones. So we've got special permission for that, so we can evaluate this tool. And once we've evaluated it, then we'd be on track to roll it out. We are expanding our TeacherMatic use across the institution, and we're exploring more opportunities for business operations using TeacherMatic as a secure tool. That's all from me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura. That was awesome.
Thanks, Laura. Peter, is it me now, or have you?
It's over to you. Yeah, Laura,
Okay.
you might have a little look in the questions. If you want to add to any comments in the questions, and off you go, Hannah.
Yeah, I think there's obviously differing opinions and concerns around the use of AI in marketing and feedback. As a licensing manager, I've been specifically tasked in procuring products or finding ways for members to easily procure reliable, safe tools to be used within their institution. So as Peter alluded to before in the chat, the due diligence has been done by JISC in terms of data and procurement. However, JISC's position on AI is and on automatic grading tools is still being discussed, and as Peter mentioned too, that there is currently an ongoing assessment and feedback pilot that not only TeacherMatic is part of, it's a number of automatic grading tools that are part of that pilot. And so JISC are challenging and questioning and bringing forward many of the questions that higher education institutions have, and we will be very pleased to share the results of that with everybody when it is out. And I have actually put it, if you scroll right back in the chat, I have put a link to that pilot. Is that can everyone see my daughter's face, or you can see my screen? No, you can see my screen. That's good. There's a massive picture of my daughter. I was worried that you'd got that instead. Yeah, so in terms of the assessment and feedback pilot, that link is in the chat and I'll repost it. There was a pilot has been done previously, and the report has been published by our AI team in the use of HE TeacherMatic, but that doesn't have a focus on assessment and feedback. That one is coming soon. When I say coming soon, it's coming next year. But I'll share the details in the chat as I mentioned. Right, so this is the boring part from me, unfortunately. I am a licensing manager, like I said. I specifically work on the JISC platform. The JISC platform is part of JISC. It's where you can procure software for your institutions if you are members of JISC. You need a login. If you haven't got one, you can email me. I can get you a login where you can look at all our different software products. And it's where you'll find TeacherMatic. If you are already using TeacherMatic and you are looking at your renewal, you are very welcome to email me. I won't be going through the renewal information in this webinar. However, please do email me. You are very welcome to renew through JISC. So here we go. We've got find out more. Let's find out more. What is great about TeacherMatic in comparison to many other automatic grading tools? And that's what I'm going to start with in terms of the assessment and feedback piece, is that TeacherMatic is a holistic product and it's purchased per teacher. Unlike many automatic grading tools, that is purchased per student or per FTE, and it becomes very expensive very quickly. However, if you look here, if you are purchasing for more than 50 teachers, it immediately starts to become a very, very affordable product. Now, there are also discounts for multi-year use. So if your institution wants to sign up for 2-year annual payments, there's a 10% discount on the price, and so on. Also, if you make upfront payments, then you are protected from any annual year-on-year inflation increases. You pay for the duration, let's say 5 years, and there will be no increases within that 5 years. That's taken care of. Yeah, so another benefit, obviously, of purchasing through the JISC platform, we have our standard license. We've done our due diligence within the license as well. And yeah, I think I've told you about everything. If you have any more questions, you are very welcome to email me anytime, and I will give you more information. But yeah, I think that's it from me. I will share those AI pilots in the chat. And oh, that's another thing. If you do have questions and concerns regarding automatic grading tools, especially the ones that we offer through the JISC platform, you're very welcome to email me and I can connect you to our AI team or get some feedback from my AI team and get an official JISC stance where we are at the moment on those questions. Okay, so I'll stop sharing. Thank you very much. I should be open for questions now.
I'll just talk a little bit about, we've had a lot of questions about assessment and some concerns. And I just want to really reassure you that, these tools are obviously very powerful and could be misused, but we strongly recommend that they are only used alongside humans, particularly if it's any summative assessment. We are working with JISC on, developing what good practice is. If you, as an organisation, are using TeacherMatic already or are looking to use TeacherMatic, I think it's important that you have an organisational approach to how you're going to use AI assessment tools, that you have your own policies and procedure, and Laura, is already doing that kind of thing in her university. I think student-informed consent is absolutely essential, that students need to know that AI is being used as a marketing thing. Marking. I think there is then a concern that some colleges, particularly FE colleges, have come back to us that the students will complain on the basis of, hang on, you tell us we can't use AI to write our work, so why is it okay for you to use AI to mark our work? And a simple answer to that is, this will give your staff more time to support you because it will reduce their marking workload a little bit, and B, human beings have unconscious and conscious biases regarding students sometimes. And the AI doesn't have those kind of biases. And so it will often give a more objective mark. And so it does give students some reassurance of some more fairness overall. Laura, I mean, if you want to talk a little bit about, you're getting going with assessment and the work you've done to make sure that it's ethical and
so
procedural.
So our research project, which I put in the chat, it's we had submitted to a research ethics committee, and it was awarded ethical approval for the research. It's all based on consent, so every party in the process knows what's happening. We're using basically our evaluation is using already graded work. So we're using work that a human has already graded and generating AI feedback to compare with that human feedback using latent semantic analysis and also human coding. Our priority is always to preserve that validity and reliability of assessment. So it's very important to us. The human needs to be involved in the process. And even if one day you could plug TeacherMatic straight into Moodle, that it would just auto grade everything, I'd not want to use that feature, because I really want to have the slight breaks on so that staff can look at the AI generated feedback, review what's happening there, and then go, well, that's valid or that's not valid, and I'm going to add my own, because all AI output should be the start for human endeavor, or should be part of human endeavor. It shouldn't just be machines done it and sort of abdicate responsibility because AI's done it. So humans should always be part of the loop.
Okay, I just want to pick up a couple of questions here. In many ways, the most important question: how much does it cost? If you've got more, it's a staff based. It's not based on your student numbers. It's based on the number of licenses for staff you want. And if you're buying 50 licenses or more, it's £30 per member of staff per year. It is cheap as chips. You'll pay an awful lot more for a lot of these other AI tools. We are extremely cheap. So, if you've got 100 staff that you want to have access, that's £3,000 a year. And when you think saving 4 hours a week, that's a massive saving. It does get a bit cheaper as you get to larger numbers. And if you buy a multi-year license, you get 10% off. It's the same price buying through JISC or through ourselves. Someone's asked about plagiarism checker. We don't do that. And in particular, I don't know if you're referring to the use of AI for plagiarism, something I've got very strong opinions on. There's a lot of research that shows that these tools that claim to do plagiarism on AI can be quite dangerous, because they turn out an awful lot of false positives, and students are being accused of cheating with AI when they're actually not doing so. Particularly applies to second language speakers. They are more likely to get caught out with that. So, use AI plagiarism checkers with great caution. Right, well, thank you very much. You can see quickly share my screen if you want my email again. Jada, if you want to put my email into the chat as well.
I will, just now.
So it's peter@teachermatic.com. So do email me. Very happy for you to get we will be sending you a trial logon in a couple of weeks. Jada will be sending out a recording of this webinar, and alongside that a trial logon that you can use and you can share with any of your colleagues. If any of you want to try and log on before that, just send me an email out and I'll send you one through. So we very much try before you buy. We're very confident in our platform that if you do try it, you're going to want to have it. And so we're very happy to provide you a free thing. Copies of presentations, yes. Jada, if you can ensure that we can share those when we send out the copies. David, very pleased to hear that. And I'll be sending some individual emails out to some of you as well, if particularly if you're from an organisation that I've not had any contact with before. So I hope you don't mind that, but please do reach out to me if you want any demonstrations to your decision makers. I'm very happy to do a live demo to any decision making groups in your organisations, and hope we can bring you on board. Okay, well, thank you very much to all the speakers, to Amanda, Hannah and Laura, and to Jada for hosting and managing this webinar. And I hope you all found it useful. And we'll be doing one of these every month from now on. So keep your eye out on our information there. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you.